and welcome back to Reason News. House Speaker Mike Johnson has unexpectedly retreated from his earlier calls for the immediate release of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Johnson now states that President Trump, quote, needs space, unquote, to handle the issue, a move that has ignited debate both within Congress and across the broader political landscape. House Speaker Mike Johnson announced on Monday that there will be no vote in the House on any measure aimed at compelling the Trump administration to release more details related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation before the August congressional recess. Johnson emphasized giving the administration the space to do what it is doing, saying further congressional action would be considered only if necessary or appropriate later on. Just last week, Johnson had joined calls both within his caucus and from Trump supporters for increased transparency, even hinting that all existing Epstein files should be released for public review. He said, quote, "We should disclose everything and let the public decide," unquote. Johnson remarked that at the time, echoing demands from conservative commentators and MAGA activists who continue to fuel the movement for full disclosure. Analysts point to political considerations at play. After initial statements diverging from President Trump's messaging, Johnson quickly realigned himself, stressing there is no daylight between House Republicans and the president on the goal of maximum transparency. He suggested that Trump had already ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to seek release of all grand jury files on Epstein, pending court approval, implying that the legislative branch should let the executive act without extra pressure right now. The Epstein case remains especially fraught for the Republican Party and the Trump administration, with supporters demanding the so-called client list and related materials, and some expressing disappointment with what they see as a lack of follow-through. Johnson's retreat has not quelled all criticism, with some MAGA activists and commentators insisting the party's leadership must go further in demanding transparency and accountability. President Trump has repeatedly stated that his administration supports the release of all credible documents related to the Epstein investigation. Despite high-profile demands for disclosures, the Department of Justice concluded in a recent interview that there is no client list implicating additional high-profile individuals. The DOJ review also reaffirmed that Epstein's death in custody in 2019 was a suicide, not murder, a finding disputed by some activists. Attorney General Bondi has stated she will only release information that meets standards for credibility and legal review. Within Congress, Johnson's move has split House Republicans, some of whom report being swamped by calls and emails from constituents demanding more transparency about Epstein's connections. Democratic leaders have accused House Republicans of using non-binding resolutions as cover votes, while refusing to push for binding action. Here's a video from CNN.
It's somewhere in the middle there, somewhere between an actual strategy and the president's musings. We know that President Trump wants to talk about literally anything else other than Jeffrey Epstein. You kind of saw that today and throughout the weekend as he posted on almost every topic imaginable. Cashless bail, Adam Schiff, at one point touting Mark Levin's book. He posted memes of Democrats in jumpsuits, a rant about a Wall Street Journal article not related to Jeffrey Epstein, but instead one that indicated that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had told him not to fire Jerome Powell. That seemed to very much get under his skin, saying he's the one who tells his team what to do, not the other way around. And then, of course, as you mentioned, this entire rant, multiple posts about the Washington Commanders threatening not to make a deal on their new stadium unless they went back to the Washington Redskins. This is a little bit of a different turn of what we have seen from the end of the week. We had seen really several weeks of the White House and President Trump completely on the defensive. President Trump is not good on the defensive. But when this Wall Street Journal story came out at the end of the week that alleged this birthday letter with him coming out against that story, with him filing a lawsuit, the White House felt like they were on the offensive. And of course, as we know, he ordered the Attorney General to unseal that grand jury testimony. But there are still questions about what more he can do. And those questions are coming from his MAGA base and his loyalists. And I can tell you that a few of his allies have even asked me if I can get a question to the president in a briefing or to the press secretary or shout a question at him about why he's not doing more. So this might have tied some of these people over for the short term, but there are a lot of questions still because there's a really overarching belief that there's not going to be that much information in that grand jury testimony. So now people are wondering and they're starting to push for more information. So, long story short, Manu, this story is not going away.
Meanwhile, Trump has aired his own frustration, reportedly telling supporters that he no longer wants backing from past supporters, angered over the handling of the Epstein matter. Legally, Congress has limited tools to compel the release of grand jury materials, which remain strictly protected under federal law. While non-binding resolutions can signal the House's wishes, any actual release depends on the courts. Additionally, previous attempts by the House Rules Committee to attach Epstein disclosures to other legislation failed to move forward beyond symbolic votes. Speaker Johnson has said that if additional congressional action is required, it will be considered once the administration's legal processes are exhausted. For now, no vote will proceed before Congress's August recess. The Justice Department is expected to update lawmakers should the courts authorize further releases. This episode highlights the political delicacy of the Epstein case, which remains a flashpoint for conspiracy theories and public distrust in both political parties. It also reveals the tension between Congress and the executive order how to handle sensitive, high-profile investigations, especially when public sentiment runs high and the stakes extend into the heart of current presidential politics. Speaker Johnson's decision to retreat on an immediate demand for Epstein disclosures signals both political calculation and the legal complexities at play. As the summer recess begins, both Congress and the administration are sure to face continued scrutiny over their handling of the Epstein files. We'll continue to follow developments and bring you updates on any movement from the administration, Congress, or the courts regarding further Epstein disclosures. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, stay informed, updated, and curious.